Welcome to Study Time, a televised home learning program produced by Rwanda Education Board.
Hello students, welcome to TV learning program. My name is Benon. I'll be taking Senior 1 students in biology. Dear students, how do you see our nature? What makes it beautiful? It's because of the animals and plants we find in the environment. Students, you know different parts of the plants. We have roots, we have stem, flowers, and leaves. What is the function of roots? Excellent. Roots are important for absorbing water and mineral salts from the soil. They also fix the plant family into the soil. The stem is very important because that's where leaves, flowers are attached. Flowers are very important because they make our environment look nice. Flowers are important because they provide nectar to insects, but mainly they are important because they are reproductive organs of the plant. What about leaves? Students, why are leaves important? This is from our lesson today. And the lesson from today is from Unit 3, which is the external structure and importance of flowering plants. The lesson will be leaf anatomy and physiology. Dear students, when we talk about anatomy, do you understand what it means? Anatomy is the study of structures of an organism, the study of structures of an organism. Here we are going to see different parts of the leaf. And when we talk about physiology, that is the study of functions of different structures of an organism. Meaning, after discussing different parts of the leaf, we will talk about their functions. That is our lesson today, leaf anatomy and physiology. By the end of this lesson, make sure you are able to give functions of leaves and modification of leaves. Here I need you to give examples of modified leaves and their functions. Students, when we talk about leaves, we mean primarily food-producing organs of the plant. Primary food-producing organs of the plant. That means leaves are very important in providing food for the plant. They are designed or they are adapted for collecting light, which can be used as the source of energy to produce food. These leaves have large, broad, and flat surface called the leaf blade. This leaf blade is large, it is broad, and it is flat, so that it is adapted to trap sunlight, which is needed for photosynthesis. This leaf blade is supported by the stem, and remember, the leaf blade is attached to the petiole, and the petiole is attached to the stem. Students, this is the structure of the leaf. These are the major parts of the leaf. The leaf has leaf apex, that is the upper part of the leaf. This leaf has midrib. Midrib is this middle vessel of the plant, and this is very important because it transports water and mineral salts coming from roots and distributes them to the leaf blade. Remember, leaf blade has cells of the leaf. Then, from the midrib, we have veins. Veins are branches of midrib, and these are responsible for transporting water and mineral salts deep to the cells of the leaf blade. Then we have leaf margin, which is the outermost part of the leaf. As you can see, this leaf is toothed. Then we have the leaf base, and from the leaf base you can see we have the petiole, and the function of the petiole is to attach the leaf to the stem. Then from there you can see we have the stipium. This one is very important because it protects the leaf during young stage. Then from there you can see we have the stem where leaves are normally attached. Then you can see these other parts make what we call lamina or leaf blade. This leaf blade is flat, broad, and thin so that it provides a large surface area for trapping sunlight, which is very important in the process of photosynthesis. Dear students, we can even say that these are the external parts of a leaf. What about the internal parts of the leaf? This is the diagram which is describing the internal structure of the leaf. Here we mean inside the leaf. We need to see which parts are there. As you can see, we have what we call cuticle. Cuticle is very thick, and its function is to prevent excessive loss of water from the plant. Then this internal part of the leaf, we can see there is an upper epidermis. That means this is the upper epidermis which has cells. These are the cells that make upper epidermis. And the function of the upper epidermis is to protect the internal cells of the leaf. Then from there, we have what we call palisade mesophyll cells. This is a palisade mesophyll cell. This is another palisade mesophyll cell. And as you can see, these cells have the central vacuole. Remember, it's a plant cell. It has the central vacuole. It also has chloroplasts. These are chloroplasts. And chloroplasts are very important in plant cells because they contain what we call chlorophyll. And chlorophyll is a green pigment which is needed in the process of photosynthesis. Then, as you can see from palisade mesophyll cells, we also have what we call spongy mesophyll cells. These spongy mesophyll cells, as you can see, they are spherical shaped, and this is very important because they provide enough space for gaseous exchange. And when you see these spongy mesophyll cells, they have few chloroplasts, which means they still do photosynthesis, even though the photosynthesis they do is less than photosynthesis done by palisade mesophyll cells. Then from there, students, you can see we have what we call lower epidermis. This lower epidermis is also important in protecting these cells. But at the lower part of the leaf, that's where we have a lot of stomata. Stomata are tiny holes, which are very important in gaseous exchange. When it is one, we call it stoma. And this stoma is a tiny hole that allows gases to go in and out of the cell. That means the gas like carbon dioxide can go inside, and then it is used in the process of photosynthesis. Then oxygen can get out. Remember, oxygen is produced as a byproduct of photosynthesis. It can get out through the stoma. Stoma is in singular, and in plural we say stomata. Then, as you can see here, we have guard cells. These are guard cells, and their function is to open and close, to open and close, to open and close, so that gases can go in and out. Students, what are modified leaves? Remember, we have seen the external parts of the leaf. We have seen internal parts of the leaf. My question is, what are modified leaves? or what is a modified leaf. Modified leaves or parts of the leaf are often modified for special functions such as climbing and substrate attachment. Here, students, do you see the beans in your home village? Remember, those beans are adapted for attaching to trees. That is a modified plant. Then these modified leaves, some are used as storage organs, some are used for protection against predation, as we are going to see. Others are adapted or modified so that they can get used to climatic conditions. Or others are adapted for trapping and digesting insects or prey, which means modified leaves are leaves which are specialized to perform different functions. These can be specialized for climbing or attachment to different parts like trees. Some are modified for storage of food and water. Others are modified for protection against other organisms which can eat them. Others are modified so that they can be adapted to live in the environment. Remember, we have different seasons. There is when we have dry season. As you know, in a dry season, we see most of the trees shedding their leaves. Do you know the reason why? Excellent. It's because in a dry season, there is not enough water. So what happens? Plants shed leaves to avoid excessive loss of water. Remember, in the leaves, that's where we have stomata, tiny holes, which are very important in the process of transpiration, or the process by which plants lose water in the form of vapor. So to avoid plants losing water when it is dry season, they shed leaves. They reduce the number of leaves so that they stay with few leaves which are needed for photosynthesis and performing other functions. And when it is rain season, that means there is a lot of water because of rainfall. What happens? Plants will have a lot of leaves so that those leaves can be used to eliminate excess water which is not needed by plants. Students, let us see some examples of modified leaves. Here we have leaf tendrils. Leaf tendrils, this in botany or when we are learning plants, tendril is a specialized stem or leaf or petiole which is a thread-like shape that is used by climbing plants for support, attachment, cell invasion by parasitic plants. That means tendrils are thread-like structures which are used by plants for attachment. Here we gave example of beans. Remember, bean plants, when they are grown, they develop tendrils from their stem or leaves which are used to attach to the trees so that leaves of the plant are exposed to sunlight, which is needed in the process of photosynthesis. Examples of plants which have leaf tendrils, we can have cucumber, we can have squash, we can have watermelon, we can have morning glory, and bean plants as we have seen. Take an example. Here we have our cucumber. As you can see, it has developed tendrils which are used for the attachment to these trees. This is a very important adaptation because when it attaches there, that means other leaves, other parts of the plant are exposed to sunlight which is needed for photosynthesis. Leaf tendrils are modified leaves which provide attachment to other parts of the environment, like trees. This is an adaptation. Another modified leaf are leaf spines. These leaf spines are very common in plants like cacti or cactus when it is one, and these are transformed into leaves that protect the plant from herbivores, radiate it from the stem during the day, and collect drip condensed water vapor during cooler nights. That means spines are developed from leaves, and this is very important because, as you can see, these are leaf spines from the cactus, and these are modified into spines so that this plant is not eaten by herbivores. That means when these spines or sometimes thorns are there, herbivores will not easily eat those plants. And that is an adaptation to help those plants live in the environment where there's also a lot of sunshine. This is common. Spines are common to plants which live in arid areas or in dry areas like deserts. You will find that some leaves are modified into spines to prevent excessive loss of water and also to avoid animals eating them for food, example, herbivores. Like you can see, this is a cactus. This place looks very dry. So plants which are in this place, it looks like a desert, must be adapted to live in this dry place. One of the adaptations is modifying leaves into spines so that there is no excessive loss of water, there is no too much gaseous exchange, and in this process of preventing excessive loss of water, that means plants are able to live in the dry place or in the dry regions. So those are leaves which are modified into spines or thorns. Then, students, we also have other modified leaves, leaves which are modified into storage leaves. That means some of the leaves become fleshy or succulent due to the storage of water and food. They become flesh, they become succulent so that they are able to store water, so that they are able to store food. Here we can have leaves of the agave plant or aloe vera plant. Those leaves are succulent leaves which are able to store water in their leaves, and they have thick parts which are fleshy and covered with waxy coating. That means the cuticle, it is waxy, or they have waxy cuticle. They can even have hair to reduce the rate of evaporation. That means storage leaves are common in plants which need to store a lot of water, plants which need to store a lot of food. This is common with plants which also live in dry areas like deserts. They need to store water for a long time. And in that case, they have their parts or leaf parts as thick, then they are flesh to store a lot of water, then they are covered with waxy cuticle, and they have fine hair which reduce the rate of evaporation. Like you see, this plant, when you see this part, is very thick, and that means inside this plant is flesh, and they are able to store a lot of water for a long time. They are able to store a lot of food for a long time. Then we also have what we call insect-catching leaves. Some of the plants live in swampy soils, and remember, in swampy soils, because of continuous flowing of water, there might be a problem of food nutrients. And what plants do which live there, that means they are able to catch insects and use them as the source of food nutrients. One of the food nutrients needed is nitrogen, because remember, nitrogen is very important in formation of commercial fertilizer, the one needed for plants. Nitrogen is also needed in formation of enzymes because enzymes are formed from amino acids, and amino acids have a lot of nitrogen, or they need a lot of nitrogen. Then nitrogen is also needed in the formation of nucleic acids like DNA or deoxyribonucleic acid. Nitrogen is also needed in the pigment chlorophyll, which is needed for photosynthesis. And that nitrogen comes from where? It comes from insects, which are trapped by insect-catching leaves. That means, let us take an example. Here we have pitcher plants. Pitcher plants, these are plants which are modified for catching insects. Like you see this plant, inside it is slippery and smooth. Then it also has hair which is backwardly pointed so that when the insect comes in here, it is slippery, it will fall inside, and when it tries to come back, it will be trapped by hair, and in that process, the insect will get tired. When it falls inside, there is water there. What will happen? The insect will be trapped in in water, and then this insect will end up dying. When it dies, that means it will decompose. When it decomposes, that means it is going to be digested by this plant, and then the plant will get a lot of nutrients from decomposed parts of the insect. One of the elements which is needed, or the mineral which is needed, is nitrogen, because we have seen it is needed for the formation of enzymes, formation of DNA, and formation of chlorophyll. That means this pitcher plant is able to trap the insects which go inside here. We also have what we call Venus fly traps. This is another type of plants which is very important in trapping insects, which are used as the source of nitrogen, which forms enzymes, DNA, and chlorophyll. Let us have a look at the plant. This is how the plant looks like, and this plant is able to trap insects. Let us see how this happens. As you can see, here we have the plant, and then as you see the plant inside, it has some modified parts of the leaf which form like traps, and when the insect comes looking for food nutrients, what will happen? That insect is likely to be trapped by the plant. As you can see, the insect has been trapped, and when the insect is trapped, then the plant is going to release enzymes which are going to digest that plant by extracellular digestion. That means those plants are able to get nutrients like nitrogen from insects, which means those are insect-eating plants or plants which are modified to trap insects and use them as the source of energy. Dear students, plants have leaves, and leaves perform different functions. One of the functions of leaves is photosynthesis. As you can see, one of the functions of leaves is photosynthesis. Plants use leaves in the process of photosynthesis because leaves have cells, pale-celled and spongy mesophyll cells, which have chloroplasts, and chloroplasts have chlorophyll, chlorophyll needed for photosynthesis. Then some of the leaves are used as storage organs, like we have seen in agave and aloe vera plants. Water and food nutrients can be stored in leaves. Then some of the leaves can be used for defense, for protecting the plant from herbivores and for preventing excessive loss of water. We have seen this with cactus or cacti, which are desert plants that have leaves which are modified into spines to prevent herbivores from eating them. And then they also have leaves which are modified into thorns or spines to prevent excessive loss of water. Another example is opuntia. Then some leaves are used in the process of transpiration, the process by which plants lose water in form of vapor. Then plants can also be used in guttation. This process of guttation then happens when leaves close their stomata, and then water will be lost in hydrothawed cells which are surrounding the leaf. This happens at night, and early in the morning we can see water droplets or dew on plants. Dear students, we have talked about plants. We have said that plants have leaves. Leaves have different parts which perform different functions. Then we have seen modified leaves, or leaves which are specialized to perform different functions. And then we have seen functions of leaves. Dear students, allow me give you homework to test your level of understanding, because I'm sure you have followed all the steps of the lesson. Question number 1, what are the main parts of a leaf? Question number 2, how are leaves adapted to perform their functions? Question number 3, what are modified leaves? Question number 4, explain reasons why leaves are modified into tendrils and spines. Question number 5, explain reason why plants shed leaves in dry season. Why do plants shed leaves in dry season? Question number 6, what are the adaptations of succulent plants? Dear students, thank you very much for your active participation. I request you to do homework nicely. We meet next time. Stay safe and all the best. Thank you.